I, 36M, have a son, 17M, that is graduating high school this year. His mom and I split up when he was young, and I got married to my now wife, 37F, a few years ago. His mom doesn't live super closed, so my son mostly stays with me, but he'll call her a few times a week and go over to her house on long weekends. My son wanted to invite me, my wife, his mom, and his brother, 19M, to his graduation, but each student only gets up to 3 tickets. My son tried asking if he could get one more, but they told him that since the school auditorium wasn't very big, they wouldn't have enough seating if they gave students extra tickets. They did tell him that the school usually does a raffle for extra tickets if they have any open spots, but the tickets aren't guaranteed. My son talked to me about it, and said he didn't know what to do because he wanted both his mom and my wife to be there. He said that he could just invite my wife if it was easier, and celebrate with his mom separately. I know that my son is still close with his mom even though he doesn't see her as often anymore, so I told him that unless there was a specific reason he didn't want her there, he should probably invite his mom first, and put his name in for the raffle to try and get one for my wife. He seemed happy with this idea, and called his mom to tell her. Earlier today, my wife was asking my son about the graduation, and he told her that he didn't have enough tickets for everyone, but was trying to get an extra one for her. She asked who he had given the tickets to. He said me, his brother, and his mom. She seemed a bit surprised but didn't say anything else. Later she said if I could ask my son to give the ticket to her instead of his mom, and I told her no because it was his choice, and he had already told his mom. She said she didn't understand why he would give it to his mom when he doesn't even see her that often, and that he should have just given it to her. I told her that I told him to invite his mom, and even if he doesn't see her as often it doesn't mean that his mom doesn't matter to him. She got upset and asked why I would tell him that, and wouldn't I rather spend the day with her instead of my ex. I said that it didn't matter what I though because my son is really close with his mom, and just because I've had issues with her doesn't mean that he does too. Now my wife is mad at me, and accused me of just wanting to see my ex. I do want my wife to come to the graduation, but I think that it's more important that my son has his mom there. Comment 1. The fact that your wife, who has only been in your son's life for a few years, thinks she deserves ticket over your son's mother is a huge red flag. You are NTA, but she absolutely is. Comment 2. You are definitely NTA, your wife is though. His mother is just as important if not more important than his stepmom to him. He only gets 3 tickets and unless there is some reason that his bio mom should not be in his life she is abusive the ticket should go to her. Story 2, calling out a creep at the gym. I, 21F, started taking the gym seriously in the last couple of years. I have my good days and bad days there dealing with creepy men, but today was a different story. It was my leg day, so I was doing some heavy squats. While I was doing them, a man who seems to be in his late 20s came up to me and asked how many sets I have left. I was listening to my music getting in my zone, so being tapped on the shoulder and asked how many sets I have left annoyed me a little. I don't ever go up to people and ask them that, I would just wait or go do whatever is available, but anyway, it wasn't a big deal so I answered I had 3 sets left. He then waited right behind me, which made me uncomfortable because I could tell he was looking at my ass. There are also 3 other squat racks in the gym taken by men. He didn't go and ask them how many sets they have left, he just waited for mine and he was standing behind me doing stretches and looking at me squat. When I was done, he then came up to tell me I am a strong girl and my squat form and legs are impressive. Those comments just boiled my blood. I took out my headphones and told him first off, I don't appreciate him staring at me while I am working out and I also don't want unwanted comments from him. I guess I was pretty loud because I saw people staring at us. He seemed embarrassed and backtracked by saying it was just a compliment because he doesn't see many girls squatting 275 pounds. I then told him maybe he needs to stop looking at girls working out and trying to hit on them. He got pissed and called me a bitch. I told him to not talk to me again and the gym is not a place to pick up girls. Especially when I am just 21 and he is probably 26 to 27. I don't think I did anything wrong. He was the one who bothered me during my set and then stared at me and gave me unwanted compliments. I told my friends but they think I overreacted. Comment 1. NTA, maybe you were a bit aggressive, but I mean in that situation most people should be? Why didn't he ask any of the guys, is a good question. The fact he escalated to calling you a witch quite literally proves where his intentions came from. Some of the men are going to come in here and say YTA, despite the fact that if a guy came up to them and said you're a strong boy, nice legs, and had stared at their ass for a few minutes beforehand, they'd throw a huge tantrum. Any man who jumps that quickly to calling women witches are men who likely don't view women well. Comment 2. Absolutely. I'm a woman and have been in and out of gyms for 20 years. People are always asking how long other people will be on a machine and then wait for it. It's also not uncommon for people to compliment one another on good form or heavy lifting. OP is searching for something to be upset about. Story 3, kicking my brother and his girlfriend out after they disrespected my house rules and constantly caused drama with my son's mother. Alright y'all, need some outside perspective because my family's making me feel like the bad guy. I, 30M, moved into a new place a few months back. It's nothing fancy, but it's a good, stable spot for me and my 6-year-old son. Around that time, my younger brother Tyrell, 24M, and his girlfriend Amber, 22F, got evicted and asked if they could crash with me for a while. I didn't really want to, but they had nowhere else, and I figured it'd just be temporary. At first, it was fine. But after about a month, they started getting way too comfortable. Ignoring house rules I set, like no random people over when I'm not home, no smoking in the house, and being respectful when my son is there. Instead, they had people in and out while I was at work, left the place trashed, blasted music while my son was sleeping, and I caught Amber smoking in the bathroom twice. The biggest issue, though, was how they disrespected my son's mother. Now, me and my baby moms aren't together, but we're cool. She picks up our son on weekends and sometimes drops him off at the house. Well, Amber took it upon herself to start making little slick comments whenever my son's mom came by. Petty, unnecessary stuff like, "Oh, you actually showed up this time or didn't know you still cared." My son's mom kept it classy, but she told me it made her uncomfortable, and I agreed it was out of pocket. I confronted them about everything and Tyrell tried to downplay it like she was just joking and told me to stop being sensitive. That was the last straw for me. I gave them 30 days to find somewhere else. Of course, now I'm the bad guy. My mom's blowing up my phone saying family sticks together and they just need guidance. Amber's been posting subliminals on Facebook about fake people who pretend to help you then turn their back. But I don't care. My house, my rules. I'm raising a son and I'm not about to let 2 grown adults bring chaos into my home. Comment 1. NTA. The family is likely overreacting because they'll have to step up next and it's easier for them if they stay there. Any of these offenses would be a good reason to kick them out, or simply the fact you didn't want them living with you in the first place. You stepped to help them and they disrespected every aspect of the help. Consequences, actions, etc. Comment 2. I don't think you crossed the line. As a father, it sounds like you are focused on the right thing. Having a stable home and setting up a good environment for your son. Your brother and his partner are grown adults. No tire responsibility. I think you did your part by giving them the opportunity. They unfortunately took advantage and now have to learn a hard lesson. Comment 3. They are adults and you owe them nothing. If they can't follow the rules, they need to go. Maybe another family member that has been giving you grief ought to take them in. Suggest it to them. Story 4, my friend wants me to let her know when I'm going on my phone. I refuse. I recently went on a weekend away with my friend. The first day, I picked her up and then spent 2 hours driving. We spent the first day walking around town, sat on the beach, went to the arcade, had dinner, had drinks, and went back to our hotel. The second day we went for breakfast, walked around the shops, visited a museum, drove to another town for a walk, ice cream and drinks. Then I drove an hour to another city where we had dinner at a restaurant before driving another hour home. The whole time I didn't go on my phone other than to check maps, text my friend back because he got a new place to live secured, take photos, and watch a few TikToks on mute. I'm not one to go on my phone extensively because I have had friends do that in the past and I hate it. If I go on my phone, I make sure it's a short period, and make sure I'm still present. I even engage my friend in who I'm texting / what it's about or show the video I've just seen. She is now saying I felt less present and she didn't appreciate me going on my phone. She would have liked me to give her a warning. She has answered phone calls and texted people back in the past. She might say I'm just texting my sister back or my mum's calling, but I don't care or notice. Phones are so commonplace that I don't notice until it becomes a bad habit. She is complaining that after driving for an hour, where she fell asleep for 20 minutes without warning, that I watched a few TikToks on mute while we walked for a few minutes. I was doing this to retune myself and give myself some dopamine from driving, as it drains my mental energy when I'm driving long distance. She wants me in future to let her know what I'm doing on my phone, so she knows what to expect. To me, this feels so excessive and even bordering on controlling for her to ask. Comment 1. ESH. Can't say I would watch TikToks while walking with my friend. That is a little odd to me. However, so is her request. Maybe just be mindful of phone usage around friends and consider getting new ones. Comment 2. NTA. I'd like you to put your phone away for a bit is one thing. You need to tell me what you're doing on your phone is crazy. I just went on a group trip where it was very normal for people to spend a few minutes on their phone to decompress. Extra, telling a foreign customer in Japan to leave the cafe if he wasn't going to buy anything. I'm an American living in Japan and spoke up to another American, who I think is in the military stationed here. The guy was sitting near me in a cafe sipping on his can of Sprite, when a staff member, a Japanese customer, and the manager all spoke to him one after the other, in broken English, that it's the rule he has to buy something if he's sitting inside. He just kept saying no thank you to them, pretending to be polite. I felt like he was abusing the fact that they couldn't speak much English, so I spoke up and said something like, "Hey bro, if you're not gonna order just leave, you don't have to be a DCK about it." He got all offended and shrugged me off. He was there for an hour with his buddies, 4 guys total, only 2 bought drinks, he never ordered a thing, and before leaving his buddy came up to me, and although his body language and tone of voice were calm, asked me 3 times in a row, "Are you having a good day?" This wasn't my issue to get involved with, I'm aware, I just hate to see staff have to deal with rude foreign customers. Edit, extra information, to clear up a point of confusion in the comments, when the staff spoke to him, and when I spoke to him, he was by himself. He was diagonal from me at a large 8-seat table usually used for people just self-studying, working on their computer, etc. A few minutes after I spoke to him, his 3 friends show up, 2 of them having bought drinks. I heard everything he said to the staff, and he never mentioned that his friends were in line, or that he was here with others. So basically, when all this went down, it was assumed that he was just a random guy purposefully disobeying the rules that the staff were trying to explain to him.